He's the Lakers beat writer for The Athletic, does a great job. He's been on the show before. Jovan Buha. Jovan, welcome to the Odd Couple, man.
What's happening?
How's it going, guys?
We're good, man. Great to have you on and a perfect night to have you on. So I know we don't, if there is new information on how long LeBron could be out, it seems like maybe anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks is what they're saying. Let us know if that still seems to be the case. And how do you think, this is going to impact the Lakers?
So that does seem to be the case. It looks like 3 weeks is probably the short end. And as you said, 6 weeks is probably on the longer end. Though we've seen high ankle sprains go as long as, even 8 to 10 weeks, which would really have him, pushing back into the beginning of the playoffs potentially. But my read on the situation is he'll probably be out around 4 weeks or so. This is LeBron. And I thought it was just insane that he was able to even get up on that ankle and
Right.
re-enter the game. And, I thought.
Well, he had to get his double figures points. So
he had to get his three.
Amazing he hit that three, too.
Yeah.
Right?
But it was one of those things where, you guys have seen it. Like, you watch him and he'll have a play like that where it looks like he gets injured. And most normal players will actually be injured or have to leave the game. And LeBron just kind of reties his shoe and then goes back in. So I thought it was one of those moments. But when you saw him leave, when you saw him knock over that chair on the way to the locker room, you kind of knew it was serious. And, I think that the biggest thing with LeBron being out is when Anthony Davis returns. And he's supposed to be reevaluated this week. So we'll have an update on his timetable maybe as soon as tomorrow, but definitely by the end of the week. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing, because without those two guys, I do think that this is, a lottery level team, right? Like, they don't have another star the way that like a Brooklyn does or some other really good teams to kind of step up. So I think if you've seen them play, the rest of that Atlanta game, the game last night against Phoenix, like, the offense is the problem. I think the defense will be okay. They'll get Marcus Gasol back. Maybe they'll add someone on the buyout market. But it's really the offense where it's hard for them to generate good looks in the half court without LeBron and AD. So if you get AD back within the next week or two, I think I'm semi-optimistic that they can at least tread water, stay around 500. But if AD misses another couple weeks, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you're without LeBron that whole time, I think they're really going to struggle. And if you're looking at that like next 15 game stretch, they could go 3-12 or 4-11 or 5-10, something like that. So you do that, and now you're looking at maybe the 6 or 7 seed, rounding into early May when those guys will be back. So I think it really just depends on when Anthony Davis comes back. I think that's kind of the biggest swing factor here. But if LeBron and AD are both out for a month or so, I really think this team is going to tumble down the standings, because I think that they got a tough schedule. If you look at it, they got Milwaukee, the Clippers, the Nets again, the Heat. Like, they play all the top teams again within the next month or so. So I do really think AD's return is kind of the biggest factor in their regular season right now.
I think they have almost no shot to repeat as champs. I think too many things have to go. No, that's what Chris said. Exactly.
I said it about 3 times.
Yes, he did. I just think there's too many things that need to come together. And when you're talking about a 36-year-old with an injury, I know he's bounced back before quickly, but we just don't know as you get older, and God forbid he tweaks it again or something happens. AD, we don't know. I don't like the team that they have, the roster. I think that they're missing something with Rondo and McGee and Dwight Howard that they had a year ago, and obviously they thought they were upgrading. Most people thought they had a better roster when they made their moves. Those are the things that worry me. I think the West is tougher. I think if they're down and now, I think the road to recovery is just too many things that have to happen, and I just don't see it.
I mean, I think you make a compelling case. Like, I think it's hard to disagree with a lot of the points you made. I do think that, look, right, like we could go back through NBA history. You look at that second Rockets season when they went back-to-back. I believe they were a 6 seed that year, which I think is in play for the Lakers. And I do think that while I'm not going to say home court advantage doesn't matter, because I don't think that, I do think it probably matters less this postseason than in previous postseasons.
I'll agree with you there. I'll agree with you there.
Just because of the unknown with COVID and how fans are going to be in there and stuff. And actually, the Lakers have been better on the road this season than at home. Right. And they've talked about how weird it's been to play at Staples Center and have no fans there. So, I mean, for me, it really comes down to their title odds come down to, are LeBron and AD healthy? Because I think we can go through, if you go through every postseason, if a team has relatively, even talent as their opponent, which I think the Lakers have as much, if not more talent than, any other team, maybe you put Brooklyn ahead of them. But besides Brooklyn, I think they have as much talent, if not more, than any other team, right? It's usually the best player in the series, their team wins. And I think in most series, the Lakers are not just going to have the best player, but they're going to have the two best players in LeBron and AD. And that is, for me, it's like, okay, maybe they start in round one on the road in Denver. Are you going to pick Denver over them? Because I'm going to pick the Lakers, right? And then maybe in round two, they're playing Phoenix on the road. I'm still going to pick the Lakers over Phoenix because I think they have the two best players. So, maybe when you get to the conference finals, that's where that fatigue factors in. And I think maybe they have a tougher road where there might be some more 6 or 7 game series, and maybe that accumulates and hurts them deeper in the postseason. But I still think they have a really good shot to at least make the conference finals, if not go further. Now, I think to your point, it's for them, it's championship or bust. Losing in the finals or losing in the conference finals, that's a failed season. But I still think they're going to be there as long as those two guys are healthy.
You mentioned AD earlier and him being the key to when he gets back. I both Rob and I, we expected AD to kind of take it to another level this year.
Be like MVP this year. Yes.
I thought he'd be in the race for MVP. I thought it'd be a natural passing of the torch from LeBron to him. And, he was 22-9. So, he was a legitimate all-star and all that, but he was not playing as well as he has in the past. And I think in addition to getting himself right physically, he needed to take this time to get right mentally. Do you think there was something there too, and that for some reason he wasn't playing as well? And what's your take on why, if you agree with us?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you guys. And it was something that, I wrote a big feature on AD earlier in the season, and he kind of talked about that of just, for him, he's someone that likes to take a few weeks off after the season to just kind of unwind, let his body rest and recover, not touch a basketball, not work out, and just really take, a month off and just sort of detach from everything and then get back into the gym. And because of the shortened off season, that threw off his entire rhythm. And, the 71-day off season, shortest in NBA history. And he's basically said, I didn't really start getting into shape until training camp. I wasn't really even in shape when we started. So did he
take that month? He did take that time
off? He did take that time off. And okay. I think that, for him, it just was a thing where he was kind of behind the 8 ball to start the season a little bit and was still working himself into shape. And, as you said, still putting up 22-9. The Lakers have the best defense by defensive efficiency, and he is the biggest reason for that, right? He is the, I felt he should have been more in the defensive player of the year conversation than he was. And it was still, not putting up the same counting numbers as we've been accustomed to the last few years, but was still the main reason why the Lakers had the best defense. And we've seen them slip a bit since he's been out. So I think, he was still having a really good year, but I do think, to your point, not the year that we were expecting. But I actually think that this could end up being a positive for the Lakers is if they can tread water and AD gets a little bit of a rest, and can kind of recover and just get right mentally and physically. Frank Vogel is now talking about giving LeBron some time off, just to mentally to not be as involved and be leading the team.
So does that mean he would get away from the team a little bit?
We asked Frank about that. He said not necessarily that, but he just meant more so in huddles and team meetings. He wants LeBron to kind of just be in the back more so, and letting other guys that are actually playing kind of step up, take more of a leadership role, and not put that burden on LeBron. And Frank was saying he thinks LeBron might just need a little bit of a mental break for a little bit. So I think there's actually a flip side where, yes, I do think that being a lower seed, having to play on the road will be harder. But if you get AD and LeBron, semi-fresh by the playoffs, we could see a dominant run from this team. I think that regardless of who they're playing and what they're seeding is, like, those two guys are healthy and fresh. I think that's a scary sight. So I do wonder, I do think AD's return is a big thing. Is he now? It's basically going to be New Orleans, right? It's going to be him and a bunch of role players, and like, how does he handle that? Kind of once he's back. But I do wonder if those two guys can kind of actually get a bit of a break mentally and physically. Can they actually be more dangerous come playoff time?
And there's no truth to the rumor that AD will ask for a trade once he gets to this team with all role players. I'm sorry.
That's our man, Jovan Buha, Lakers beat writer for the Athletic. Great stuff, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
Yep.